Where's the microphone at? Sold Not For Sale as always, guys. Now, let's get right into it. Tucker Carlson is talking about World War III. He's talking about Russia. He's talking about China. And he's talking about the ridiculous situation that the U.S. has put themselves in. It's just another example of Tucker kind of, I don't know what he went through, that he just had this realization, and he just starts talking about everything in this podcast. And I really do believe, because as soon as he made this podcast, about 4 weeks later around, he got let go from Fox. Now, I'm not saying it's the direct correlation, but this definitely put him on the radar of the they that is behind Fox. You know who I mean, the Black Rocks and the Vanguards and things like that. But before I get into this clip, I got to bring you to the store. What's going on? Come on in. Check it out. We got hoodies, we got shirts, we got t-shirts, we got women's V-necks, and let me just click right here. We got a mug as well. Check out the mug, 15-ounce mug. Great mug, sold not for sale, right? We got the anti-WEF shirts as well. And you know what? In my last video about Trudeau, one of the videos at least, got a big Canadian response. So if you guys need an F Trudeau shirt, just let me know. I'm sure you guys already have it, judging by the comments that I heard. But if you need another one, because I make some pretty cool designs, let me know. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. Let's get into the clip. Also, every purchase helps us fight against us getting demonetized, limiting our revenue, limiting our videos for no apparent reason. So every single purchase is truly appreciated. But let's get right into this clip. Let's go.
This whole like World War III quote unquote situation that's kind of going on.
It's coming, and we're like standing there. There's this in defensive driving. If you take like a defensive driving course or whatever, the first thing they will teach you, and they'll keep teaching it to you, is if you don't want to hit something, don't look at it. Because, and this is like widely studied, people in like horrible, you run into a tree. How'd you run into a tree? Because you were staring at the tree. I feel like we're staring at this like conflagration, this like worldwide, this World War III. We're just like, yes, it's coming. It's like a train coming toward us, and everyone's hypnotized. Like, what? No. Russia invaded Eastern Ukraine. That's bad. I'm against anybody invading any, whatever. I'm against that, right? I'm for borders. But that's not bad enough to justify a nuclear war. It's just not. I don't care what you say. And if you think that's enough to justify a nuclear war, you're insane. Mm-hmm. And you should not have power. I don't want my children to die in like, what? You're playing these incredibly high stakes games with the country that has the most nuclear armed missiles in the world. Also, you're an idiot. And you're also like 80 years old. So you have got no kind of future ahead of you. You don't care what happens because you've reached the end of your natural life.
You see what I mean? He's talking about Biden directly, of course. Obviously, you know that. But you see what I mean? Like, he's literally just pointing at the president, saying you're an idiot. Like, this is just, this is not something that he could do when he was at Fox. And not something he could do, during his show. But now at a podcast where he's just kind of free to just say whatever, and he's just being asked questions about certain things, he's just letting it all fly. And I can't imagine that Fox was too happy about him doing this. There had to be a conversation about like, hey, like, you're going on these other things and you're kind of having the same conversations and you're saying some things that you shouldn't really be saying if you're under our umbrella. I don't know.
You're exactly the person who should not be in charge right now. And that's exactly who is in charge. And so, yeah, I'm completely freaked out by it. And I'm hardly like a peacenik or something at all.
When I'm bored, I just YouTube like US, China for the last like 3 months. And I just see like how much they're like militarizing that area. Like I saw this video where like the US planes are so close to the Chinese planes. And like they can literally see the Chinese pilot. And like the Chinese fighter will be like, head south right now, you're going to be intercepted. And they said that goes on like every day.
See, this is the problem with being American and that Canadians don't have. Canada is not the most powerful country in the world. So Canadians feel an obligation to know what is going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But America has been the most powerful country in the world since 1918. So that's, over 100 years. And Americans are just trained not to care at all. And they should care. both because we're no longer the most powerful country in the world, and also because the rest of the world really matters. And it's super interesting.
The U.S. is not no more?
No.
What is, China?
Look, without being boring, but the whole point of American foreign policy for like 100 years was don't let the other great powers align against us. In other words, you're in a bar, you hit on some guy's girlfriend. I'm going to punch you out. You're thinking, can I beat this guy? Yeah, probably. But if like two of his friends of equal size show up, you're not going to win. They're going to jump you.
Yep.
And you're going to lose. And you're going to get your ass kicked. So the point of American foreign policy and diplomacy was to prevent that from happening. So you have this big power, Russia, which is the world's largest landmass, with the world's largest reserve of energy, natural gas, and the world's largest nuclear arsenal. And then you have this other country, China, which is the world's largest population, 1.3 billion, the world's largest economy. And each one of those is potentially pretty formidable. But if they get together, the world's largest population, the world's largest landmass, largest economy, largest energy reserves, together in a block against you, no, you're no longer the most powerful. You're taking orders from them.
And that's pretty much what's
happened because of the stupid border war in Eastern Europe that like we didn't actually have to pay that much attention to.
Wow. See what I mean? You see what I mean? Like he's literally saying, hey, we're not the most powerful anymore. Right? He's undermining everything that you're seeing in the news about how Russia is like running with their tails between their legs and Ukraine is so strong and this war is so important and we should be involved. And he's literally saying we're not the most powerful. These people are to be worried about. And he's saying it to the US population. I mean, the people who watch the Full Send podcast, I would venture to say their main demographic is people who are 21 years old to 35 years old. The exact class of people that the elites don't want riled up. Because when that class of people gets riled up, the world changes. Like worldwide, when that age group of men is all of a sudden riled up and whether it's fearful or angry or whatever, the world changes. Because that class of people altogether have immense power, way more power than I think anybody that is elite would care to actually admit. Way more.
Yeah, we're against it. You issue a statement. I can't believe you rolled over the border into eastern Ukraine. Like, that's bad, and we're officially against that. And I would say I'm very against that, okay? Not defending Russia. But, like, is that worth reshuffling the global deck and putting Russia and China on the same side in an alliance that controls the majority of the world's economy and its shipping routes and its currency? Are you fucking kidding? Were you on drugs? No, that's nuts. So when all this hallucination finally evaporates and we like wake up to the real world, we're going to realize that Russia, Canada, UK, New Zealand, Australia, like all this coalition that we thought we were part of and in charge of and all that stuff is weaker than this new bloc, which is China, Russia, Turkey, and then all these other states. Like, what's Malaysia?
Turkey's with U.S., aren't they?
Well, no.
Oh, I thought
and
they
so
were.
then you have all these other countries. So it's not just about the biggest countries. It's about, like, what about Saudi Arabia, which was controlled by the United States through Aramco for 100 years? Well, they're like, no, we're independent now. We could go either way. Why are we on America's side? So all of a sudden you have the world's largest oil reserves siding with the other side. Like, you could find yourself very quickly, and we are going to find ourselves.
Fucking scary, bro.
Dude. And everyone's like, and the childishness of the analysis, it's like, are you for Russia? Putin's bad. Yeah, he's bad. Everybody's bad. They're all bad.
Yeah.
I've interviewed a bunch of world leaders. One thing I can say about them all, bad.
Yeah.
I'm not going to babysit my kids. You know what I mean? Like, bad. Okay, world leader is bad. He killed people. Yeah, world leaders, that's what they do. So it's not about whether this guy, but that's the level of the conversation. Are you for Putin? You're an idiot. God, I can't believe you have power. Like, you're an idiot. The Secretary of State lecturing me about how Putin's bad? Okay, he's bad.
Yeah.
Do you feel better now? Like, what does it have to do with anything?
Right. What?
Wow. Well, this is the thing about, like, I know I'm jumping in again. And actually, this is where the clip's pretty much done. They move on to another question. But when do you hear somebody who's a mainstream, one of the biggest mainstream news anchors in the world, actually shooting straight to the American people, saying, hey, you should kind of be interested in what's going on. Hey, we're not as powerful. Like, that's not that's not said in the mainstream media to the American people. You're not as powerful as you think you are. You know some bad things are going to happen. You know your leadership is not handling the situation properly. You know they didn't have to get into this war. These are all things that he's saying to the American people. Again, to that working class, that changed the world class of men, 21 to like 35 years old. That is prime age for battle, for politics, for, you know, changing the world. It really is. So just remarkable. And again, I'm telling you, man, I think this is the podcast that did it. I think this podcast set off alarm bells when it came to Fox, because, you know, Fox, when it came to Fox says some real stuff. They do. They're mainstream, but they'll shoot straight-ish, kind of, you know, in their way, in their mainstream way. Tucker went completely. This is like independent media mode. This is like something that Dave Smith would say. This is stuff that Rogan would say. This is not just your regular news anchor type of talk. And I don't know, man. I think it set off alarm bells. But you guys let me know what you think. What do you think in terms of what he's saying, in terms of, you know, potential World War III, in terms of the U.S.'s position, in terms of what the U.S. could have done, and in terms of, you know, the leadership? Like, did the leadership really need to do all of this? Did they need to send all that money? You know, I know for myself, I think all of that money should have stayed in America. Obviously. You know, like just a few years ago, you're like, defund the police. We don't have enough money to do X, Y, Z. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, is there war? Let me send billions of dollars. It's like, well, what just happened? I thought we had to defund the police to finance the lives of another community. Now all of a sudden, neither of those things matter, and you're just sending money off to another nation? It's insane. That's just my opinion. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be in there very, very soon. Other than that, I'm out.